2001 is a media company with a 360-degree approach in reaching our audience over 5 platforms: television, radio, newspaper, online news portal, and mobile app.
Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian Pulse.
Hi, I'm Amitabh Bachchan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
अब हर दिन सुने GTA का नंबर 1 रेडियो स्टेशन FM 91.9
All English 24/7 television network and Y Media Plus.
You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y.
Prime Minister, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be back.
Online, SouthAsianDaily.com, the biggest South Asian media group. Y Media.
Hello everyone, my name is Jadoo. I'm the group editor at Y Media. As we all know, that we are going to have elections right across Ontario on October the 24th. On Y Media Political Sensex, we do debates, whether it's a federal election, provincial, and now we have the municipal election. So to do this debate, we have the candidates right here from ward number 7 and 8. So first of all, I'd like to welcome the candidates, and right after we welcome the candidates, we will be discussing the format. But before I do that, I'd like to tell you that these debates are being broadcasted on Rogers 857, Bell 828, Telus 2418, Ignite 707. You can also visit us on our mobile app, just in case you have a phone like this. Download Y Media TV. And also you can visit us on y.media. You don't need to put .com, just y.media. And also on our Facebook page, Y Media, our YouTube, Y Media, and our Instagram page as well on Y Media. So at this point, I'd like to welcome all the candidates. Baljeet Bawa, a very warm welcome, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Jadoo, for having us here. It's a great opportunity to face your viewership. Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond Carl. A very warm welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me as well.
Thank you. And Michael, a very warm welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for doing these debates. They're needed in our community, and it gives the residents an opportunity to see the candidates and hear their discussion and debates. Thank you.
Thank you. Jiskaran Sandhu, a very warm welcome, sir. How are you?
Good, good, good. It's a pleasure to be here.
Kuljit Batraji, very warm welcome.
Thank you, Ji. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Devinder Kumanji. Very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Y Media, for inviting us for this lovely debate. And Y Media is a big channel, so it's good to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And just for viewers' benefit and also for our candidates, I'd like to tell you that first of all, we will be giving 2 minutes each, and during these 2 minutes, you can all give your opening remarks, which could be what's your educational qualification, background, what are you currently doing, why you want to run for this position, or anything else for that matter. And then I'll throw in a topic, and I'll give you 4 minutes. At any given time, you can jump in on the topic or raise your hand, whatever, and from 4 to 6 minutes, we'll be covering that topic, then we'll be moving to the next topic. After we're done with the topics, I'll give you 1 minute each for your closing remarks. Any questions at this point? All good?
All good.
All good.
All good? Okay, let's get going. Wishing you all the best. Good luck. Baljeet, first of all, we'll start with you. 2 minutes for your opening remarks.
Well, that 2 minutes is good enough for me. I normally got 60 seconds earlier. Anyway, my name is Baljeet Bawa. I'm an IT professional with a background. I've turned into an entrepreneur. I run a couple of businesses around here. I've been into Peel region or in Ward 7 since the last 20 years, or almost 22 years now, I would say it. I've worked with the community very closely. I have been into the politics for almost last 12 years, ran a couple of nominations as well as the 2019 Member of Parliament elections also. Right now, when I've seen what happened in the council for last 4 years, it's being a total dysfunctional. There's being divisiveness over there. There's a politics of appeasement going on right now. Looking at that, and with my zeal to work for the community, I made sure myself, and I put myself into this race by saying that this is a vacant seat that the current incumbent has moved on to another position. So taking care of my community, working for it, and that's what I had been looking for. So if you elect me on 24th of October, which is the main final day of the elections before the advanced polling that's going to happen in a couple of days, I assure you that I'll work tirelessly every day, day in and day out for the community as being a bridge between the council and the community. That's what a council member should be doing it. So basically looking out for that, looking for your vote, and that's Baljeet Bawa for Ward 7 and 8 City Council.
Thank you, Michael. Oh, sorry, Carl.
Okay.
Raymond, yes.
Yeah. My name is Raymond Carl. Thank you. I'm a candidate, obviously, for Ward 7 8 here in Brampton. I gotta say, 5, 10, 20 years ago, I don't think I would have ever imagined I'd be here sitting with you guys debating policies and programs here for the City Council. It's absolutely fascinating, the journey that's unfolding for me. But I have a confession to make. One thing I was not expecting is that municipal politics would be this interesting. Never dawned on me. Hospitals, zoning, bylaws, parks, this is what we should be focused on, not the drama that's being played out in City Hall. Politics should be boring. So that's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. My name is Michael Parkison. I'm running for City Council for Wards 7 and 8. I've been a resident of Brampton for the past 15 years. 7 of those years I've lived in Ward 8. My wife and I have been married for 24 years. We are raising 3 children, 19-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 6-year-old. My reason for getting involved into municipal politics is to make sure that we have the services that we need and deserve. My main platform actually for running is safety, #1 priority. I've seen on my street where there have been racing all over, and residents are fed up. They have been calling 311, calling the police, and not getting any resolution. And so this is one of the reasons that I'm running. The other one is, we need some more transparency at City Hall. What's happening is that there's a waste going on, over $600,000 for a waste and Brampton new project, and up to today there is no report that we can find to find out where did that money go. And so, another thing is public transit. If we want to be the green city that we are, then take a step up in Toronto's shoes. In Toronto, under 13, kids under 13 ride free. In Brampton, you have to pay a full rate. My 13-year-old, my 6-year-old, they pay a full rate. We want to move in the right direction. Let's make transit free for kids under 18. And so these are some of the reasons why I'm running to be your next city councillor. So on October 24th, vote Michael Parkison for city council. Just to let you know that advanced polling starts on Friday, the 7th of October until Sunday, the 9th. So go out and cast your vote. It's your democratic right to do that. So vote, even if you vote for someone else, but make sure you do that, because municipal election has the least voter turnout, less than 30% sometimes. So go and show your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jaskaran.
Hi, my name is Jaskaran Sandhu. I'm running for Brampton City Councillor in Ward 7 and 8. From the very beginning, our campaign motto has been very clear. It's demand better. And when we go door to door, we hear that same response from residents. They want to demand better infrastructure. They want to demand better customer service. They want to demand better representation. Residents are sick and tired of the headlines. They're tired of the lack of investments in our city. They're tired of the fractured council. And so on October 24th, when you go to cast your ballot, you're going to ask yourself, which councillor in Ward 7-8 can help deliver better? As someone that is a lawyer, that has been practicing for 10 years in this city, as someone that has worked in City Hall, as someone that has been recognized by the Brampton Board of Trade as a top 40 under 40 for advocacy within the city and helping to develop the innovation sector, as well as uplift political engagement in the region, as someone that was recognized as a fellow with Civic Action Diversity, a leading organization bringing municipal leaders from across the GTHA, as someone that has done a lot of grassroots organizing and advocacy work, I believe I am that councillor that can help build bridges between a fractured council, that can help lobby and advocate for the city at Queen's Park and Parliament Hill, and not just at City Hall, and as someone that would fight tirelessly for the residents. So on October 24th, when you go cast your ballot, make sure you vote for Jaskaran Sandhu, Brampton City Councillor, Ward 7 and 8.
Thank you. Kuljit.
Hi, my name is Kuljit Singh Batra, and I've filed my papers from the Ward 7 and 8 in Brampton. I've done it for a reason that I see in the city office what is happening. I see all kinds of disagreements on all the things, especially over the seat 7 and 8 that I'm going to be contesting. This is a seat where the major disagreements have come up to. But this is a seat that I want to fix. And I want to do everything right. Now there's everybody, I went door knocking, and the regular thing that I hear is everybody is coming here knocking on the doors promising the same things, hospitals, security, cheap houses, everybody has the same promise. But nobody has yet given them a plan how they're going to do it. They're all saying, give me a vote and I will do it. All I can say is, I have no experience in politics. It's my first time coming in, but I have passion. I have a vision and I have a plan. So think before you vote, and definitely on 24th, please go and vote. Once again, right now, since the last time, it was only 25 to 30% people who voted. Please go and vote. This is going to help you. It's your vote, your choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Devinder.
Hi, my name is Deminder Guman, and I've been living in this ward 7 and 8 for the past 20 years. And I've seen the services deteriorating and the taxes go up. What I've seen, and also the safety issues and the hospital, we have only one hospital for the 700,000 people. And these are all the things that made me run for the ward that I live in, because I got a lot from this ward. My kids went to school in the same ward. Now they are in the university, and they went to all the same schools. And basically, I just want to give back to the community what I got from Brampton. And that's why I'm running for this ward. And please vote on the 24th. And being a Diwali day, I would advocate that you go and do advanced polling on that day. The advanced polling starts on the 7th, 8th, and then again next weekend, and the weekend after that. So please go out and vote in large numbers so that the right candidate gets the job for the Brampton city. And please vote the Minder woman, if you can, on for Ward 7 and 8 as City Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And at this point, let's start our first topic for today. Our first topic for today would be, I want to listen to your vision. What is your vision for Brampton? Where do you want to take Brampton?
I'll start off first. And that's a very good question, because when we're out knocking on the doors, that's what people are asking us. Where do we see Brampton in the next 5, 10, even 20 years? And I envision a Brampton that is safe. We don't have any car break-ins, any home break-ins. We have the right number of police officers that are able to do patrols. And residents have told me that within the hours of midnight to 6 a.m., when most break-ins take place, if there are more patrols on the road, then we'll eliminate these from happening. And so I see a Brampton where it's safe, where community children can play without any fear of being run over by a car that's speeding. Even today, one of the residents called me and said, Michael, I've lived there for 15 years at this intersection, and we have asked them to put a four-way stop sign, and up to today, there is nothing. And I hope that, when you win, then you will press for this stop sign to be installed. And so my vision of Brampton is a safe Brampton. Second one, my vision of Brampton is one that is clean. We have seen where there are garbages piling up all over the street, and you call 311 and nothing is happening. I work for a transportation industry where service is the number one priority, and we should be a service provider.
Look, if I have a vision for Brampton, it's the one that I'm hearing at the doors. It starts with just getting the simple things right. We need strong customer service at City Council. When people look at City Hall right now, they feel like there's a moat around the place. They have no access, and what should be the most accessible level of government. You have an easier time getting hold of your MP or MPP than you do your city councillor. That needs to change. Then we can talk about bigger visionary stuff. The city of Brampton is a major city. You wouldn't know that when you drive through this place, when you read the papers, when you read the stories about our government. That needs to change. I think the city of Brampton has amazing potential. It has the bones to build something incredible. It has one of the most dynamic, youngest populations in the country, one of the most educated. That means we need to bring in the type of jobs that everyone is coveting and fighting for across the region. It means we bring in the type of infrastructure to house and build the type of population that can keep pushing us forward. And it means in believing in ourselves. It means actually fixing the PR issue we face all the time. I am sick and tired of folks rolling their eyes when you tell them you're from Brampton. This is an amazing place. My vision of the city is one that is celebrated across the country and not stigmatized. And it starts with a very strong councillor, and it starts with a functioning city hall. So once we get the big things, we can also get the small things right, and they have to happen together.
No, and similarly, like if I say like my vision would be a proper planned, healthy Brampton. And this is what we were known as when people started migrating over here and they started settling over here. Right now, this is one of the biggest, largest growing municipality all over Canada. Now, when we say that it's a well-planned, healthy city, that includes the infrastructure. We need to have a proper, accessible public infrastructure. We need to have entrepreneurs and businesses running over here, and right now we know that Brampton is totally missing out on the service industry. All we have is the warehouses and factory jobs. As my vision says, is that I would bring all those IT companies, all those bankings, all those service industry that's across the border to the other side of the city, which is Mississauga, where they have all this Microsoft, Oracle, Johnson & Johnson's, those jobs, they need to come down here to Brampton, and I will create that environment for these businesses so that they can come down here with incentives and so on. That will automatically resonates to get a Brampton in a proper economical path.
Thank you.
And just to add to that, what I see Brampton to be 4 years later, by the time we have next elections, that it's a destination. It's a destination for all the industry who wants to come to Brampton. They should want to come. We should not be getting them by the end of 4 years. It should be a destination for every new immigrant who wants to settle in Canada. Destination should be Brampton. We should have all the sports destinations as Brampton. We should have World Cups happening there. That's what I see in 4 years, that Brampton can lead to that because it has all the infrastructure. Where we can improve is in new construction. I see now there are a lot of subdivisions being made. Let's say they're made for 50 houses. By the time people come and live in, 50 families turn into 100 families because their basements are rented out. But our roads are not ready for that. We see cars parked on both sides of the road. There's only small way to go through. That has to be stopped now. When we plan new subdivisions, we need to plan it for growth, not for current. We need to see how they are going to be 10 years later. What do we need there? We have to plan in advance, and that's the vision that's missing right now. So that's what I see.
And my vision is like, I see Brampton right now is a neglected city. If we look up to Mississauga, both the cities were formed at the same time. But where Mississauga is right now and where Brampton is. And if elected, my vision would be like the Brampton should be better than Mississauga or better than Toronto. And how can we get that? We should not be going out for jobs to Toronto or somewhere else. We should have jobs in Brampton. And to have that, we need to have industrial parks, basically. And like it has to be well planned out, right? Right now the city is not planned. It's just residents. Only houses are built. No incentives are given for the industry. And so like we need to give incentives to the industry to come here and make the city vibrant. Also we should have some, Toronto has, like people go to Toronto for weekends. At the evening, the youngsters want to go to Toronto, not come to Brampton. Or they will go to Mississauga. We want to make this city lively, right? So we should have the entertainment district or something like that in Brampton, so people will come to Brampton.
Thank you. And yeah, Raymond, you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. We do in the city lack a lot of proper city planning. A lot of these candidates here are bringing up Mississauga. Mississauga was built on public-private partnerships. A lot of the developments that you see on there are public-private partnerships. Hazel McCallion herself has complained sometimes about these partnerships being problematic, but in the end, they actually are a good thing to have happen. Our taxes don't match our services. For the big city that we are, we lack a lot of the services any other major city has. We lack a, proper, you know what, I'm just going to stop there before I get too far.
And if I could jump in, I mean, Raymond brought up an interesting topic there in terms of the property tax that we pay. As a big city, we pay more than 40% more property tax than actually Toronto, and we get less services. I talk about the transit, public transit, kids riding for free under 18. We talk about pools. One of my knocking the door and one of the residents say, you know what, we're missing in Brampton. There are no outdoor pools. All the pools are inside. I have to go to Toronto to use outdoor pools. Why is that? We've been paying the highest taxes in the GTA for years, and the services don't match that. So I would like to see that happen. If we're paying this higher tax, we should get the services and better services than Toronto is having, because we're paying that in taxes.
I think the underlying issue here is the master plan, where we are just building subdivisions and subdivisions. And if you see it, the comparison with the neighboring cities, we should be building vertical cities, not horizontal. Horizontal, you are landlocked. When you get the landlocks, there is very limited space that you can actually allocate to the business or to the industry that actually brings the jobs in. So this is the reason why Brampton planning has failed drastically, by having a sleeping city or a city of bedrooms instead of a city of business, where they can get up, they do their business, they can run their lives from there, instead of traveling out of the city for work and coming back and sleeping in the city. So as I said, building public infrastructure, having accessible and bringing business down into the Brampton will be the only solution for economic growth and bringing Brampton back into a better Brampton.
Yeah, quickly.
A few days ago, transportation was brought up with regards to burying the LRT line, the BRT line that we're having, and the debate was whether or not we should spend the $1.5 billion. I made the case that if a business study were done, by which the taxes and the land value on top of that is greater than the $1.5 billion you're being asked to spend, then the debate should not be about the $1.5 billion. This is what we're talking about, bad city planning. Why is the debate about 1.5? The debate should be about, is there actually a business case to be made?
Yeah.
Look, I think there's a couple of points that have been made here, and we need to break them down a little bit. The reason why property taxes are so high in this city is twofold. The first is we have not developed our city properly. Where there is opportunity to build density, where there's an opportunity to build intensity on our transit lines, it is not happening. Okay, that's one. The second is we have, as a city council over decades, this is not a recent problem, has zoned over anything that was supposed to be employment land into residential. We only have a residential tax base. We don't have a commercial tax base. When you look at cities like Vaughan or Mississauga, the Toronto example comes up often, they have a very diverse tax base to pull revenue from. City Hall and City Council are limited in what revenue tools they have at their disposal, and residential taxes are unfortunately the one well they keep pulling from, which is unacceptable because, to the second point, we're not seeing value for dollar on the services with our tax dollars. The issue there is we are one of the fastest growing cities in the country. We have newcomers coming to the city as a destination. It already is a destination. It doesn't have to become one. It already is one for newcomers. That brings a considerable amount of strain on services that the city of Brampton uniquely faces. On the question about the $1.5 billion on transit, federal and provincial MPs and MPPs back in 2020 and 2021 already made a pledge to 50-50 fund that. That's not a question of a municipal funding, that's a question of federal and provincial funding. We have a pledge already from those two levels of government to fund high-intensity transit projects like the LRT to downtown Brampton, which will then, for the sake of our Ward 7 and 8, the Queen BRT would come off of. That funding has already been pledged by the sitting politicians. It is our job as councillors not to surrender our negotiation platform, our leverage on that conversation by saying that we are going to put in money. That's not happening. The pledge is already been made.
And I'll just take
just 10 seconds.
Just last 10 seconds. And thank you, Mr. Sandhu, for agreeing on this one, that we need a high-density vertical city building up so that we can allocate more space to the business that eventually will end up adding to the economy of Brampton, will actually make it more livable place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, you want to quickly?
Yeah, I just want to say it makes sense. I mean, if elected as city council, I'll put a freeze on all residential development if they're not high-rise or multiple units. And that's one way to pause or freeze that type of development and bring in businesses. So that's what we're lacking. As you said, Toronto, 70% of their taxes come from businesses. In Brampton, it's the reverse. 70% of taxes come from residential property tax. We can't afford to continue on this road, or we're going to lead to nowhere. So we need to freeze these development that are spiraling and get business building that are multiple units. And so get these businesses to come in to invest. The one way of doing that is to make sure that this city is the safest city there is. Nobody's going to invest in a city that is not safe.
Yeah.
I know we want to keep going, but I just want to answer one point he's making about these skyscrapers. My life is skyscrapers. I know skyscrapers. But I'll tell you this about putting a skyscraper in an actual residential area. When that residential area has been developed with schools, with hospitals, and all this stuff, and then you stick a 20 or 30-story complex on a street without the proper infrastructure is wrong. It should not be done. These things should be zoned properly to be in the right place.
That's exactly, Mr. Raymond, we are talking about that new subdivisions should be considered as a high density or doing that one instead of,
Yeah, I think we need to quickly move on to our next
Absolutely.
point. Yeah, we're running, otherwise we'll be running out of time. We won't be able to cover many topics. Our next topic would be accountability and transparency. We've heard a lot of news about the dysfunctional council that we've recently had. There are a lot of questions regarding the audits. Where have the audits been stalled? There were allegations of corruption, but let me put it across that none of these allegations have been proven in the court of law. But where does this leave all the Bramptonians with? So accountability and transparency, I want to hear your ideas. Who wants to go first?
Look, I think it starts with electing a fiercely independent voice on council, someone that can actually challenge when issues do arise, that has the guts to call wrong and right. As someone who's a lawyer, it also requires someone who understands the rules, that understands the bylaws, understands the decorum and the etiquette of council as well, and understands what is appropriate and what is not. We saw this just recently with the actually the court of law did figure this out and say that the appointment of Elaine Moore was wrong. That's an example of council that needs to be held to checks and balances. It starts with, again, a strong, fierce, independent voice on council. It also requires strong, independent, third-party auditing and oversight of council, including the budget, including our RFP process, our procurement process. Every other major city has very strong third-party auditing features baked into City Hall. We can't just leave it to City Hall to police itself. You do need third-party oversight so that you don't even have the question of accountability and transparency issues. It doesn't even come up. So once you have that stuff baked in from the very bottom all the way to the top, you will see the transparent accountability that we're missing at City Hall.
See, leadership doesn't come just being a lawyer. And as Mr. Sindhu always keeps saying it, a lawyer can't do like this, lawyer knows bylaws better. I think there are people around there, those who run their businesses. There are persons, those who have been educated in a very highly, skills. There are people, those who run lives and they run with different other communities and so on with multi-million, billion-dollar plans and projects. I come from a background where I have run with like multi-billion projects there for the main banks as well as the other organizations and proven with proper deliveries of it. So being a lawyer doesn't qualify you to become, that you know the bylaws. Bylaws are known by us. I own a couple of properties here and I know each and every bylaw, what size of the driveway should be there and where the signs should be put. Very simple, just look into yourself, look into the mirror where your signs are. And if you're talking about the bylaws, what do you say about that?
You have signs scattered all around Gore Meadows. You have about 15 signs at the corner. My point is, again, as a lawyer, I would have known. I would have been sitting there and said right off the bat, just like the city solicitor said to council, that illegally appointing Elaine Moore is against the law. Now, we wouldn't have to spend all the money and city resources to fight that in court. The point I'm trying to make is, again, you want someone that is fiercely independent, strong and confident with a backbone and a spine to call out things when they're happening. And now, as someone that has a fierce history of being a very strong advocate and activist and not shying away from calling out a spade as a spade, that is something that I take to voters and tell them, look, when you want transparency and accountability at City Hall, elect someone that you know that can sit there and actually challenge, not just the other politicians, mind you, but also the bureaucracy, also city staff. You want strong voice on City Council because City Council's job is, quite frankly, like that of a board of directors where your fiduciary duty is to the residents. Point is, at the end of the day, you want a councillor that is in your court that is fighting for you day and night and is not shy from fighting for you because he knows the right thing.
Mr. Sandhu, he has worked at City Hall. He's part of the bureaucracy, so you know what goes on there. One of the things about integrity and transparency and accountability is that if City Hall is constantly going to appoint an integrity commissioner and terminate the integrity commissioner, how can you police yourself? My plan would start off to, get into the Minister of Municipal Affairs to make sure that Integrity Commission is not appointed by City Council, it's appointed by the Minister himself or the Department of Municipal Affairs. And that would get rid of some of this integrity issue. So when a councillor or someone is reported for integrity, it's not investigated by internal sources, which we know are tied to strings or puppet of entities from outside. We need that full independent transparency to take place. And I would start off by getting the Minister of Municipal Affairs to appoint an integrity commission, not one that's appointed by City Council, because we cannot police internally. So that is the first thing, to get rid of all this corruption that's going on, all this lack of accountability that's going on. We have seen hundreds of thousands of dollars gone missing from Brampton University project, from alleged assault that have been covered up. One way to do that, as I said, is to appoint someone by the Minister of Municipal Affairs as an integrity commissioner, not City Council.
Yeah, thank you. See, 4 years ago when the elections happened, all the candidates at that time promised transparency, promised accountability, but what happened? Everyone was supposed to be up there, people selected them, people voted for them, but what happened? It went into a mess. So by saying today that we are going to be accountable is based on what? I would request the people to vote do some research. You are as accountable as we are. Do your research where we stand, where each candidate stands. What has his history been? Has he been involved in any scandal? Has he done anything wrong that you don't want your council to be? Do some research. It is your responsibility. Just based on what we are saying, yes, we will say all the right things. We have to say them. But I'm sure 4 years before that and 4 years before that, everybody said the same thing. But the true story is the council is in a mess right now. We have to fix that. It's you who's going to pick up the right candidate, and it's your responsibility. We are there, and as I said, I'm an absolute fresh guy in this. I have a lot of passion, a lot of vision, and a lot of planning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like Mr. Sandhu was saying that you need a strong voice at the city of Brampton. I do agree that you need a strong voice, but at the same time, you should be a team player. You can't be just strong voice and be kept on the sidelines, because if you're one strong voice, the group will sideline you. And also, like, we can have live cameras. Why there are certain meetings done in camera? Like, that means no one knows what's going on in that meeting. So anything that we do in the city hall should be on the camera and open to public. They can see it all the time, what's happening, and they know what's happening. So these corruptions will stop, and openness will be there in the city hall.
All right, Raymond.
So I wanted to, it's getting a little heated here, so I wanted to touch on something that I read. The patron saint of politicians, his name is Thomas More, for any of the Catholics out there. He said something. He said, those who campaign for office disqualify themselves for that office. And, I've always struggled trying to figure out how to campaign when we're dealing with all these kind of issues. And I think the one thing I've learned here is that you just go around and help people, be nice, and do all these great things. I've stood on international boards of directors. I've traveled the world with my business. We have global outreaches and all sorts of things. I've never had to lie in business. I've always been perfectly honest. So I've lived my life honest, and I can't imagine getting into politics and being any different. I'm not built that way. So.
Yeah, I would just add this, that when you talk about in-camera versus public meetings, I think Mr. Kumar makes a great point. We have at times abuse of the in-camera process. In-camera is only supposed to touch upon things that are supposed to be kept in confidential, things like HR, things like how much of someone, HR decisions or things that are of legal nature that have to be kept in public, because otherwise you would ruin privilege of some sort of the city holds. We can't allow the abuse of that in-camera process. That is 100% true. At the end of the day, the city of Brampton is a very large institution. Its budget is one of the largest budgets of any city in Canada. That naturally requires, for the sake of transparency and accountability, third-party, independent auditing mechanisms. You can't allow that policing to happen internally. So when it comes to accountability and transparency, yes, all of us will say that we will ensure that we are transparent and accountable actors when elected, but you need that third-party oversight. Anything with a budget the size the city of Brampton has, with as complicated of a procurement process that it has, requires third-party auditing and independent investigations.
Thank you. Well, just 10 seconds now.
Yeah, well, I'll just say, you know what, my corporate background with all the skills and managing multiple projects and so on, every dollar was accountable for, and you are actually accountable for every task that you're doing it. And transparency has to be there because you have to publish each and every budget, every expense that you're doing it and so on. So transparency and accountability, when we talk about from that, and I can bring that same skill right there in the council also, where I can vouch for this thing, that there will be public consultation for every project that happens. There will be actual reports will be published out, whatever is going on with the city, with the taxpayer. Basically, it's all the money that comes in needs to be accountable, and you need to be accountable for what's being assigned to you.
All right, thank you very much. We quickly move on to our next topic, that is integration. The reason we're discussing integration, we're seeing populist comments right across the globe, divisive comments, and also we need those elected leaders who can bring in the community together. Brampton being a very diverse community, we have people from different ethnic backgrounds, people from different countries of origin, they speak different languages. So how do we get the community together? How do we focus on the common denominators, which is infrastructure, education, healthcare, parks, recreation, environment? How are we going to focus on that and bring them together? That's the question I want to throw.
Look, I think it starts by having a council that reflects the population it serves. And I think the city of Brampton is served by a diverse council, a council that is connected at the grassroots level with communities, with neighborhoods. It also means having a city hall on the staffing side, on the bureaucracy side, also reflecting the city it serves. You know, you go at the director level at City Hall, you look at a lot of the employment numbers at City Hall, and you'll find that it severely lacks diversity. So if you want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what can we do as a city to fight, you know, some common populist type sentiments that we're seeing elsewhere in the world, and here in Canada, quite frankly, it starts with having a city hall that reflects the city that it's supposed to be working for. That is something I will definitely be pushing once in City Hall, ensuring we are doing constant and consistent auditing of what our staffing looks like, of what the decision makers sitting at the table look like, and ensuring that City Hall is doing everything it can in its power to constantly outreach and inclusive decision-making models. That means bringing stakeholders to the table, or bringing the table to stakeholders to have conversations around policy. Because right now, you know, you can take a very simple example. When we talk about parks in the city of Brampton, you know, you talk about parks in the Ward 7 and 8. Some communities, like the South Asian community, use parks very differently. It's not just a place that you pass through, it's a place you congregate in, right? That is a very different cultural parameters around how parks are used, which means that our parks have to be built differently. You need the gazebos, you need a lot of benches, you need public washrooms, you need the type of infrastructure in place to serve the communities that are using the facilities. So when we talk about infrastructure, when we're talking about what the city is providing to residents, diversity and inclusion is incredibly important because we're building things that actually don't serve the people that are supposed to use them. Again, that leadership starts at City Hall, it starts at council, it starts at our director levels and bureaucracy, and for our staff.
So the key for all these things is, as you said, like, you know, in diversity, and it's called inclusivity and diversity, that you need to move forward with the most diverse communities over here within Brampton, coming from all across the board. And now we have seen it, and I know it's very easy to say that yes, we should do all this inclusivity, but we know what there are comments out there that being put out on the public where the divisiveness is very, very visible, and it's here within us sitting here right now, and we can put that evidence out. But having said that, I have been representative of various diversity communities with all the corporate boards that I have been into. I have been into the We Charity, where it's a women empowerment. I've been into the LGBT committees of my different corporates. I know what diversity means. I know what inclusion means. I have been in the place where I have I've facilitated different faiths, different backgrounds, different people to come together on the same table and make a decision that's inclusive for it. I do not play the divisive. We have seen what happened in the past for a couple of weeks where a park name was given and the board went missing, and people started making such derogatory and such divisive comments on this that it has been done by certain people and they should be punished, and whereas they didn't even go through the right process of knowing it, why it happened. The board was just replaced with a blank board over there, and then eventually when they found, they didn't even put a sorry or a apology for that. Oh, my comment was not the right comment over there. So I'm not sure.
So how do we make sure that we live in peace, harmony?
See, one of the things is that my background, the company I work for is an international company, and I served on the board as the co-chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Council. And being an international organization, of course, we draw on a different expertise from across the world. And what we're finding out is that you can't talk about diversity and inclusion when you're only catering to one group of people. And that's one of the problems that is happening in Brampton, and that's why we're seeing this division at council right now, because a sect is catering to one group or another sect is catering to another group. We need to be at the table discussing these issues, come up with solutions together, not trying to push solutions down a group of people's throat and say, okay, this is what you need to do. And so with my background, I think I am more capable of leading that task to make sure that our city is more diverse and inclusive. One of the things at City Hall, when you look at in terms of the staffing, it's one set of a cultural group of people that are more predominant at City Hall. This needs to change. I worked on to help push forward diversity and inclusion in terms of the hiring process, and where I've seen where a set of people are being kept out of City Hall. This needs to change, and going forward, I want to make sure that I am part of that change, of that positive change, where we can look not just at communities and say, okay, this community belongs to this group, this community belongs to that group. No, but as a city, we all belong to the same group.
See, what I feel is we can be sitting in the city hall and planning a lot of different things, sitting on a table, meeting and everything. Nothing will change till we get onto the grassroots. We need to get people, especially new people coming into Brampton, to get together. We have to have a plan. We need our maybe public libraries to be the center of that. We need to get people, especially students. They're coming from everywhere. They're coming from China, they're coming from India, they're coming from Middle East, they're coming from everywhere all around the world. But when they land here, they just go their own ways. Indian goes with Indian, Chinese goes with Chinese. So we need to stop that. We need to get them together in one place so that they can meet each other, get over the awkwardness that they have. A lot of people, when they come from these countries, they are very awkward till they settle down. So we need to get them to become friends in the first go.
How do we do that? That's the question. How do we do that?
We can these students are coming to the universities. So we have to get universities involved. So they arrange something. For first month, they have a plan where all the students have to get together. Right now, what is happening is a student lands, especially from India. Second day, he's gone for his truck driver license. And third day, he's with his friends who is telling him, if you drive fast, don't worry, we have a lawyer for that. If you do this, don't worry, we have a lawyer for that. You can do this, we will take care of that. We need to stop that. For the first 2 months or month, they should get together, they should become friends, and they should be told, if they do anything wrong in Canada, it's going to be penalized. This is not the right way. Don't take it easy. Canada is a very serious country. It is welcoming immigrants, but you have to respect the country. Right now, that point is missing.
I agree with Mr. Kuljit that the things need to change at the grassroots levels. And to do that, first of all, we need to change the city hall, where the diverse population that we have does not reflect. And secondly, like I'll give you an example of our community level, how we can do the diversity and mix people together. Like on our street, whenever someone comes in, new person comes in, we on the street, 10 families will go, greet them, take some food from different cultures, give it to them, and tell them, introduce ourselves to them, make them understand if they have any problems or issues, they can come directly to us and we can help them. And 10 That's how the community will grow together. If someone comes in, you don't even bother about it, just want to make complaints about the neighbor or do something, then it won't work out. So you need to involve that newcomer into the society. And how you do it, like welcoming them at the first instance, and then making them try your things. Like if you're Indian, you will ask them, have you tried our samosas or something, or different things. If it's Chinese, then they can have their food. We can try that out, and ultimately everything will be sorted out once we started the grassroots.
Good points that we all made, but I'm just going to bring out. Yeah, sorry, just one more quick point, and you can respond to that. The City Hall does fund a lot of organizations. They do the different programs, but I would have no hesitation saying that most of them are mere photo ops. They're nothing more than that.
Yes. Yeah.
And nobody wants to say this very much in open. When do we see Italian Heritage Month, and how many people other than Italian are there? Do we go there? Do we even know that? When is Italian Heritage Month? Of course, not many of us know that.
So where
are we integrating? Where are we integrating?
So
and our elected representatives?
Look, I was born and raised in this city. Yeah. I went to school in this city all throughout. I went to university here in Toronto and in the GTA. And look, the integration efforts at like the school level, the student body level happens. All right, and then we kind of brought up the university example. There's Frost Week. The whole point of Frost Week is orientation. You engage with one another, and we can talk about the examples of international students and some issues there around services and exploitation that are happening. When it comes to integration and what the city can do to ensure that communities are vibrant and engaging with one another, is there's other models from other cities that we can bring in and import. For example, Edmonton has a model known as community leagues. Every neighborhood has a community league, and it's a part where the community comes congregates and makes decisions at a local community level. Those are some tactics, some projects, some policies in place that can help push more integration at the neighborhood level. This is also a symptom of just poorly planned city, right? Like this city has never been planned properly, other than maybe, quite frankly, old part of downtown Brampton and Bramalea. Bramalea itself, Jane Jacobs once said was an example of a well-planned suburban community. But the reality is our communities are separated, they're isolated, they're islands unto themselves. It's very suburban, very car-oriented, which makes it hard for communities to congregate at the street level. We have to encourage that as a city. That means building certain types of infrastructure or certain types of institutions that can come as a congregating space for community. And we have that at the grassroots level already. Like, for example, our senior clubs do a magnificent job of it, holding events in parks and ensuring that community comes together. You have City Hall that funds and through grant programs, different exclusivity type projects. But we also need, as a city, to invest in certain things that have worked in other places. And I bring up this example again from Edmonton of community leagues.
But where is the accountability for that?
The accountability comes from the city, right? So, for example, a community league, and this is just an example, and this is something we can flesh out and talk about.
What currently the city is funding different organizations, but what is the accountability for that?
So when you hand out a grant, right now you're supposed to have accountability attached to the grant. Now, I can't say for certain what the certain grant programming looks like at the City Hall. But one of the grant programs that you see common across other cities is about, hey, we have a pool of money here. You're an organization. We'll give you X amount of dollars if you bring together other organizations and hold an event or hold a program. Now, I've worked in the World Sikh Organization of Canada. We used to work with, we continue to work with other faith communities to hold events like of this sort. I know that's something we can do as a city to encourage through our grant programming. If you're an organization in the city, let's just say you're PCHS, let's say you're Indus Services. We'll give a certain amount of money, you go and you bring on other community organizations like yourself and hold an event where we can integrate our community more.
But does that happen?
What you're asking.
But does that happen?
Yeah. With the due respect, whatever Mr. Sandhu is saying, it's right. Like all those things are possible. They are already existing. We have funds. We know it. You know it. That there are organizations. It's purely for photo ops. Right now, the underlying issue, what we have is top to bottom approach and from bottom up. Top to bottom approach, where they are right now, they're completely playing the politics of the nature of divisiveness and appeasement. They are trying to change rename the parks, rename the roads. This not only they're appeasing one side of it, whereas the other one, the people, the names those are already existing, they're hurting their feelings, and that's where the divisiveness is coming out. We have to stop renaming parks and spending taxpayers' money on that one. Like one street renaming cost about $1.5 million, which is there on the books. Mayor says that right away. It hurts feelings of the person who already had the name, and now that name doesn't exist. A new name comes up just to appease one segment of a community. That needs to stop. Once the politics gets clean, once the top layer gets clean, automatically all those programs, all that funding can be actually channelized to the right spots, to the right place, where actually the inclusiveness can be
I agree
practiced.
with Mr. Baljit on that. The parks, the roads, they should be just numbered. There should be no names. Why give somebody more importance than the other? Why are we making that division? We should just number the parks, we should just number the roads. It's so easy. Navigation would pick it up right away. There's only one number. One doesn't come twice, two doesn't come twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's keep it like that. It's very easy.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, and those are good points. You know, changing the name to appease one group of people over another, upset another one. You know, these are all divisive. One of the things that I saw when I was campaigning or doing knocking, there is this community. They have a cul-de-sac, and every year they have a block party, and every resident along the street are there. Whichever culture you're from, they're all there. You know what they're doing? They're bonding. That needs to happen across Brampton, and that's missing. Because even those grants that are being handed out, they're handed out to different cultural organizations.
Yeah, they're not
it's
getting
not
them
something to
together.
unite the city. What I would propose is that we need to have something like a Brampton Day where people come out and celebrate Brampton, celebrate the heritage of Brampton, celebrate the diversity in Brampton. That's what we need in Brampton, to get us together, to make us feel proud of being residents of Brampton and not hearing in the news about council being divided, council cancelling council meeting. This is what we need to unite Brampton. Until we are united and we can feel proud that we are Bramptonians, this is going to continue. And I propose that we get a day on the books and call it Brampton Day, so that we can unite our community.
That already exists. It already exists. So Brampton Day already exists. There's already community citywide events that happen already.
But who knows about it?
That's the problem. So, again, it becomes
a very poor job.
It's a symptom again of a.
Days, everyone knows this
it's
is
a symptom.
Let him finish.
Yeah, these days already exist. It's a symptom of a city hall that's disconnected from community. It's a symptom of a city hall that's disconnected from residents. I go door knocking. I ask residents, do you know who your current councillor is? 95% have no idea. And that's not the fault of residents, that's the fault of councillors that don't show up, right? That's the fault of a city hall that's not in the lives of people and actually working and dealing with people in a way that makes sense to them. There's a communication barrier. So these days exist. You know, the block parties are wonderful. I know every neighborhood has one of these. Maybe that's something that the city can play a bigger role in supporting and encouraging in our town. Maybe we do a better job of holding events. We work with communities to do so. I just have one more point. I don't think we should be upset when this city, to reflect the communities that live here, thinks that we should rename a park a certain thing or rename a street a certain thing. I think that is a beautiful process of reflecting again the communities we serve and reflecting the people that live here and reflecting the people that have made this from a sleepy community to a big city. Now, that's not divisive in my opinion. That actually celebrates and acknowledges our incredible diversity in this city, and it's something that should be encouraged. But when we do rename something, when we do apply a new name to a street or park, it should reflect a Bramptonian from these communities that have done great work in the city.
But how far are we going to go? Because if there are 150 different cultures, so are we going to keep naming this and keep spending 1.5 million on every renaming? Is great. I love this idea, which is great. Okay, yeah. I'm not objecting to that.
So we have the 2040 plan.
How far are we?
So I'll explain. We have the Brampton 2040 plan. There's huge development plans already in the process. We have the development of Heritage Heights, and one of the few tracts of land left in this city, where you're going to be building new things. Although that's an opportunity where you can build streets, you can build parks that are reflective of the communities that live there, that are reflective of the communities that made this city what it is. That's not something that should be just dismissed and say that's terrible. We'll continue naming things after folks of a certain background, in Canada's case, of white Anglo-Saxon Protestant backgrounds. Yes. We can include diversity in our city building. We can include diversity in the way we name things. That's not something that's divisive. That is not something that kind of puts one against the other. It's reflecting the communities that live here. And we have a vibrant community here.
But let me say this, that yes, there are many times that yes, elected representatives or politicians exploit that. They use it to their advantage. They do a photo ops, and I think most of us would agree to that. Tell me, name a person who really, if you really feel that much if you really feel that much for that particular community, tell me what you have done for that community.
Yeah, exactly. So look, there's always an issue of performative politics. That is an issue across Canada, it's across the world. Performative politics that has no teeth behind it. If we want to establish certain parks of certain names, or we want to name streets after certain people, it also means as a city, we are doing real work around diversity, inclusion, and equity. It doesn't mean we just name something, we wash our hands there and we're done.
That's what is being done.
Yes, and so that's where...
That is exactly what is happening
I agree. And so my point is, I agree with all my friends. My point there is, I agree with all my friends.
That's exactly what these politicians are doing.
And I'll make this point.
That is the reason we all came from South Asia to here, because our politicians are playing identity politics.
I'll make a point. Look, our folks
naming parks, naming streets, this is what exactly.
So I'll make the point here. Canada has named streets and named parks since its very beginning.
But they do not play politics. They do not really play politics.
We as a community start to engage in this kind of like a self-reflection that's a little problematic, because identity politics has always been a part of this country, quite frankly. Look at Quebec, look at English Canada, look at everything else that's happened in this country.
But we need
identity politics has been a part of this. So the point I want to make to the viewers, the point I want to make to viewers, as someone that was born and raised in this country, that has lived in this country from the very beginning and seen day to day the life struggle we have, trying to make a name for ourselves and trying to make an identity for ourselves, has experienced bullying firsthand as a member of this community, as someone who went through school and faced that face to face. I would love nothing more than to have the opportunity to be proud of where I came from, proud of my heritage. That doesn't mean it's coming at the expense of another community. That doesn't mean it's going to be performative.
We didn't give a chance to Raymond.
So we're talking what we want to connect. What we want to connect with. I'm going to make this point because everyone spoke up, and I'm the only person speaking contrary to the other points being made here. It doesn't end at the naming of parks. It doesn't end at the naming of streets. It means, and that has been the problem. Look, I'm not a councillor right now. I'm telling you what I'm going to deliver. If you're going to name parks or you're going to name streets after folks from different communities, it needs to be added with grant money for different programming. It requires things like community leagues. It requires more than just performative politics.
He's made so many points, I can't even remember them. Oh my gosh.
So it was for inclusive. It was for inclusive and non-divisive, or how do we have it?
Naming the streets, right? I'm at a bit of a disadvantage as it's been mentioned. White Anglo-Saxon males, I definitely fit that envelope. But I live in an Indian and Punjabi neighborhood, and so how do I run knowing that I'm the minority? You know, I don't speak the language, and I'm trying to get to know these people. So what do? I hang out with them. I got to go to the Dussehra, which was absolutely amazing. You know, I got to go to the Saba with several friends from my neighborhood. I was even lucky enough to see Rawan. I think I said it right.
Yes.
Burned to the ground. And if any of you other white people are watching this, that reminded me of the Burning Man Festival in the States, which I'm sure nobody here knows what I'm talking about. But you know, these new experiences that I'm having, you know, they're awesome. You know, I remember a phrase: "Feed me to the wolves, and I'll come back leading the pack." It's great. I love this neighborhood. I love what I'm learning. I love what I'm seeing, and I'm loving the people that I'm getting to know. So.
Thank you.
Yes, if it was up to me, rather than changing the name and spending that kind of money, I would make a soccer field or a cricket pitch over there and let the kids enjoy from all over the neighborhood.
I think we're spending too much time on
background they come from.
Way too much time.
Whichever background they come from, they can enjoy the park.
I think we're going to circles here.
I think we can, if we could move to the next topic, because we're running out of time. So the next topic is youth and seniors. So I'll request all of you, if you could make your points. What are you going to do for youth and seniors, please? Nothing on youth and seniors.
Okay, all right. So I'll take it first. So you know what? It's the youth is actually the future, and the way how it's going on right now. Not to mention that, but if we actually nurture our youth with the proper culture. The Canadian culture, call it, and the culture that is, you know, inclusive of everyone. Doesn't matter whether you are from which community, what background, what color, age, you know, whichever it comes down to. When you engage the youth in the productive activities by giving them programs, which we already have it here, whether it could be the soccer camps, could it be baseball camps, make it a cricket camps. We know there are so many cricket, like there's communities, they come from that background where cricket is considered to be one of their national game right now. hockey, which is again field hockey or ice hockey. Engage the youth in that, engage them and keep them occupied so that they only see the productive side of the economy, of the community, of adding value to it instead of just being
Thank you. 30 seconds. Yeah, Raymond.
So I'll jump in on that one. When I grew up here in Canada, when I was growing up in Edmonton, I think was brought up the city of Edmonton, I was in youth programs. And the one thing that kept us out of trouble, that kept us out of crime, was we never had time to even go to the mall and hang out and do nothing. We had music, we had sports, every night, every day, 7 days a week. It kept us busy. And the fact that I just learning this, that Brampton doesn't even have something like that is actually pretty extraordinary. So.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Mr. Balji has said it before. The youth are our future, and they should start being involved from right now. My background is that I lost my father at 2 months old, and my mother died when I was 16. So I grew up as an orphan. And growing up, there were always programs. I was a cadet. I played soccer. I learned how to cook. When most male, that was something seen as female. So I learned how to do these things from an early age because I was engaged and I was active. Right now, my 19-year-old daughter, she's my campaign manager. So I've gotten her to be engaged. We need to do that at a city level. So all the youths are engaged. There are organizations like Boys and Girls Club of Peel, like Knights Table. Organization exists out there, but we need to get them engaged in the process. Because even my 13-year-old, hey, she's knocking doors. My 6-year-old son, he's knocking doors. So they're engaged in the process. But how do we, roll this out on a large scale? It starts with City Hall. Programs need to be in place, not programs where parents have to pay out of their pockets all the time. Take, for instance, learning how to swim. You have to pay a fee to do that. Most parents cannot afford to do that. They're living hand to mouth.
Look, I think I'm the youngest guy on this panel at 36, and I was born and raised in this city, and so I've seen the struggles of the youth of this city, and I think it starts with, to the point Carl made there, a very strong youth programming. We host one of the largest hockey tournaments in the country, the Hockey for Humanity, where we have 400 or 500 youth, mostly from Brampton, playing here in Brampton. We need to encourage that type of grassroots level sports engagement. We need programming, arts, culture, music. This city already produces some of the best talent in the world. We need to put that in a bottle and figure out why that is, and then throw some infrastructure and support around that so we can encourage more of that from the city. We have some amazing people coming out of this place. We have one of the youngest populations in Canada. I think our average age is about 36. So what are we doing to encourage their growth and prosperity here? It also means building a city that has jobs and opportunities for them. It also means bringing in a university into this town. It also means investing in kind of the post-secondary education institutions we already have. As for seniors, seniors are the backbone of our community. They're the reasons why our parks are prosperous. They're the reasons why we have so much activity in our communities and our neighborhoods. So we have to support them. It means ensuring that things like free passes for seniors continue. It means ensuring that they have free access to our parks and recreational facilities for their own health, for their mental health and physical health, and supporting them along the way, especially as they get squeezed by inflation and an economy post-COVID that hasn't been friendly to them.
Yep, youth program definitely help. When we make a budget in the City Hall, we need to keep in mind that we have to take care of the youth because that's the future. And moreover, we have to have scholarships for them. We have to go school to school to keep them engaged so that they have something to achieve. Like, we are telling them to do good, but what do they get in return? So we need to have some scholarships in place to promote and motivate others who don't get it, but still they want to get it. So we need to be engaged on the grassroots level, but we have to budget it in the City Hall. And for seniors, as they are the biggest voters, we really have to take care of them. And we need to get them tech savvy because that's the social media keeps them busy, keeps them engaged. So we need to get some youth involved with the seniors. So both sides, youth is learning and they are entertained. That's what I would do.
I think we should invest in the youth of our community, and to do that, first of all, we need to have good infrastructure. Like our rec centers are not up to the mark, most of them, and some are not even being rebuilt. They have been torn down, but they are not rebuilt, and so they have to travel long distances to go to a rec center. And when Brampton and Mississauga were the cities were formed, Brampton came with five libraries, And for the past many years, we just built one library for the youth. So totally now also we have only 6 libraries in Brampton. And we should have more libraries so that the youth can go and study there. And also the timings are very short. During exam times, at least we should have more time for them to study there. And
thank you so much. I wish we had more time, and this is all the time that we have. But thank you so much for very interesting, engaging discussion, fresh ideas, out of the box thoughts. That's what we got today. And 1 minute for each one of you for your closing remarks. We'll start with you.
I would like my voters to vote for me on the 24th. I know my name is Daminder Guman, and I have lived in this ward for long, and I know the problems of this ward. I can just promise that I'll try my best to solve the problems, whatever they are, and be your counselor that is easy to access and be for you all the time. My name is Daminder Guman. Please vote for me on October 24th. Thank you.
Hi, my closing lines would be, you heard us all. You know the council is in a mess, as we've been talking about. So now it's a decision time. Whether you want to change the whole council or not, that's your choice. I would go for it. Now's the time for a change. You need to get new people in. So please vote. Once again, last time only 30% people voted and 100% are complaining. Let's make it 100% this time so that only 10% complain. That we can work on. Makes our life easy. Take care.
Look, again, I think you heard from everyone here, and everyone more or less, I think, from a couple of differences, i.e., whether we should name parks or streets after folks from the community, from diverse communities. We all agree mostly on everything. We need better policing in our communities, we need better housing, we need better jobs, we need better infrastructure. The question that residents have to ask themselves when they cast their ballot on October 24th is, who do you believe can actually fight and deliver for better? And that is where I would suggest you vote for Jaskar and Sandhu. Because I have the experience, I have the advocacy background, I have worked across all levels of government, fighting for the residents of Brampton from day one, and I'll continue doing that if elected on October 24th, and I have the honor of representing you in council chambers.
Thank you. Yes.
You have heard us, you have heard the discussions, the debates, the agreements, the disagreement. It's now up to you to decide. And I implore you to vote Michael Parkison for City Council. My name is there, michaelparkison.ca, to find out more about me and what I'm about. But I want to leave this with you. No city will grow unless it is safe, unless residents feel safe. No investment will come into our city unless it's safe. So we need to make sure that we have a safe city. And I am pursuing that, and I need your help to do that. So go and vote Michael Parkison, City Councilor. Thank you.
Thank you. Raymond.
So I was brought up to believe in democracy and the ability for us as a society to benefit from the debates and ideas that we all bring to the table. But this system only works if you guys all come out to vote. Churchill was right when he said, democracy is the worst system of government ever created, except for all the rest of them. Vote Raymond Carl.
Yes.
See, with all this positive and creative, I would say, debate that happened, all we agreed on one thing is that we do need a safer, a cleaner, and an affordable Brampton. And as Baljit Bawa, your Ward 7 and 8 City Councillor, I promise you that my plans, they actually resonates what Brampton needs. The proper public infrastructure, empowering the entrepreneurs and the business, bringing safety to the communities, a well-planned, healthy city. I promise you that every day I spend there in the City Council, I will work tirelessly to ensure that I'm the bridge between the community and the council, ensuring that everything that a council is supposed to do, I'm doing that and accountable for it. Baljit Bawa, your City Councillor from 7-8, thank you.
Thank you so much, Baljit. Thank you so much, Raymond. Thank you so much, Michael. Jaskaran, thank you so much. Baljit, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Devinder. At this point, I wish you all the best for the rest of your campaign. And I'll just tell our viewers to go out and vote on October 24th. That's the most important thing. And once again, all these debates will be broadcasted on Channel Y, which you see in Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, and English, and on Y+, which is a 24/7 English channel, and also this will be broadcast on Radio Y, FM 91.9, and a few discussions will be also highlighted on a newspaper, midweek newspaper. On behalf of Y Media Group, I'd like to thank all our candidates, wishing them all the best. Thank you so much. Stay tuned with Y Media.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you're watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media.
Y Media Group, established in 2001, is a media company with a 360-degree approach in reaching our audience over 5 platforms: television, radio, newspaper, online news portal, and mobile app.
Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian Pulse.
Hi, I'm Amitabh Bachchan, and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan, and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
अब हर दिन सुने GTA का number 1 radio station FM 91.9.
All English 24/7 television network and Y Media